Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Perugini here. So today we are going to continue talking a little bit about dialogue and then also our fairy tales that we've been working on. So in writing workshop for the last week or so, we have been learning about what dialogue is and what it looks like, and we're even starting to use it in our own writing. So I just wanted to quickly talk about one thing that we could do when we are writing dialogue. So what we know is that we see these little marks, we call these quotation marks, around the exact words that a speaker is saying. And then it usually tells us who said it. So for example, let's go to the park, said Mom. So the one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is this word said. All right, we have the quote and then we have who said it. Sometimes when we're reading and we see, said Mom or said Joe or whoever the character might be, or even in our own writing, maybe it can get a little boring sometimes. So I wanted to just show you guys this chart of how to make your writing come alive. So it says to make your writing come alive, put said to bed. So basically, I just want to show you some other words that we could use in our writing instead of the word said. So synonyms for said that we could use in our writing. And we'll post this in your Google Classroom too, just so that you can look at it a little more closely. So I'll just read through some of these and then we'll just do a couple examples together. Thundered, scowled, groaned, scolded, questioned, sang, giggled, snapped, barked, shouted, yelled, exclaimed, muttered, laughed, growled, whined, moaned, stuttered, screamed, announced, mumbled, whispered, asked, commanded, or sneered. So maybe even if we looked at this one quote that we have right here, let's go to the park, said Mom. So maybe we could think of something else that we could use instead of said Mom. So maybe I might say, let's go to the park, exclaimed Mom. Okay, and then sometimes too, maybe if I was saying something in my writing and there were two boys that were arguing over a toy and one character said, "Give me back my toy," Joe said. So instead of saying Joe said, even though he's kind of angry because someone took his toy, I might say, "Give me back my toy," screamed Joe. So maybe it just sounds a little bit more exciting than that word said. Okay? Or maybe you were writing a story and it was about one time when you had to go to bed early and you really didn't want to go to bed early. So maybe you would have said, "I don't want to go to bed early," said Susie. So instead of saying said, maybe I could say, "I didn't want to go to bed early," whined Susie. That might make it sound a little bit better, like you really don't want to go to bed. So you might use the word whined instead of said. So that's just a little something we wanted to show you, just to help you with your writing and just make your writing sound a little more interesting anytime you are using dialogue. All right. So the second thing that we have also been working on in writing workshop are our fairy tales. So one fairy tale that you guys listened to last week was The Frog Prince. What we're going to listen to today is the fractured version of The Frog Prince. So we've already listened to 2 fractured fairy tales so far this week. So let's just review this chart that you guys have already seen. Ways authors adapt fairy tales. So when they adapt the fairy tale, basically it's that original fairy tale, but something is changing. And that is what you want to focus on this week while we're listening to these fractured fairy tales, is what changed. So the other day you listened to Goldilocks and the 3 Dinosaurs, and we saw that that was an example of a change in character from the original Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, and now we have Goldilocks and the 3 Dinosaurs. Yesterday, you listened to Penguin and the Pea, which was the fractured version of Princess and the Pea. So what was the big thing that was changed? That was a change of object, all right? So besides character and object, sometimes the setting could be changed, where the story takes place. Maybe it went from a forest to a city, a palace to a campground. Maybe it's the time that's changing. Maybe the point of view is something that's changing. Maybe just the big main events are changing, or the character's motivations. All right, so think about that while I am reading. Frankly, I never wanted to kiss anybody. This is the story of The Frog Prince as told by the Frog by Nancy Lowen. All right, so this one's also there if you want to go back, reread it, just refresh your memory, and then we want to compare the two so that we could see what has changed from the original to the fractured version. So here we go. You have to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince. I bet you've heard that one before. And I bet you're thinking, ew, kissing a frog would be gross. Well, I just happen to be the former frog who inspired that saying. My name is Prince Puckett, and let me tell you, that kiss was no picnic for me either. Here's the real story. I was playing baseball the day Hank's mom turned me into a frog. One moment, I was about to catch Hank's pop fly, which would give my team the championship, and the next moment, I was flopping around on the ground with more legs than I knew what to do with. Sorry, kid, Hank's mom called as she was led out of the ballpark. To break the spell, just get a princess to kiss you. But you can't know you're a prince. Well, whether I was a prince or a frog, I wasn't about to kiss any girl. And I soon found that being a frog had its perks. I could see almost all the way around my head. I could swim and dive like nobody's business. And boy, could I jump. I jumped and jumped all the way to a new home near a well under an old linden tree. One day, I was playing Kick the Mushroom with my frog buddies when I heard the unmistakable sound of a ball smacking into a glove. That's the princess, Mickey told me. She's always coming out here to practice. I listened to the smack, 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 and I wished that I could be just a regular baseball playing prince again. Then it happened. Smack, smack, plunk. The ball landed in the well. That was my lucky ball, the princess cried. The gang gathered around me. If you offer to get the ball, she'll offer to pay you back somehow, Willie said. Then you can ask for that kiss. Go on, Harmon prodded. Think of your teammates back home. So we even see how in this story they're using a lot of different words besides the word said to make it sound so much better. I worked up my courage and jumped beside her. Would you like me to get your ball? I asked. You? She asked. Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to try. I hopped into the well and kicked the ball out. How can I ever repay you? The princess asked. Just ask and it's yours. You can, I'd like I stammered. Finally, I blurted out, a kiss. I want you to kiss me. Blah, the princess said. We stared at each other. She leaned toward me. I leaned toward her. Nope, can't do it, she said. She took her ball and ran away. Well, that made me a little mad. A deal's a deal, right? It took me a while, but jump by jump, I followed her back to her castle. The princess wouldn't open the door, but I stood there croaking loudly until her father, the king himself, let me in. I told him about our agreement. My daughter must keep her word, the king assured me in a booming voice. Then he plopped me down on the dinner table right next to her. The princess looked the other way. I'll kiss you after we eat, she said. Promise. But as soon as she'd swallowed her last bite of lemon tart, she dashed up the stairs. I hopped right after her. "I'll kiss you right before I go to sleep," she said. But she pulled the covers over her head and quickly began to fake snore. I spotted her lucky bowl in the corner. "Well, I guess I'll be going now," I said. "Since you won't kiss me, I'll just be taking this." The princess flung off the covers. "No, wait, I'll do it." She picked me up and held me to her face. She closed her eyes. I closed my eyes. Then her lips touched mine. Ugh! We both shrieked. I felt myself being hurled into the air, and suddenly I was stumbling around with 2 legs and 2 arms that I didn't know what to do with. "You're a prince," she said. "What an arm," I said. Did we fall in love, get married, and live happily ever after? No way. But my team got a great new starting pitcher. All right. So I hope you guys liked the story. And now I want you to think about what has changed from the original version to the fractured version. Use your chart to help you before answering the question. Okay? Have a good day.